that we have gone live. Ooh. Hey y'all, welcome to the Bonnet Chronicles. I am your hostess with the mostest, Kalari GXC, and we are going to get started on our first cast of the new year, talking about the obvious stuff of the week. But I want to thank everybody who has supported and tuned into this cast, the people who joined into the chat, and I also just want to thank those who have followed me on both Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. You guys are appreciated for real. Like I said last time I did this, which was last year technically, I wasn't sure about branching out and doing these live shows, and coming from a podcasting background, being in a group normally, branching out on my own just felt like I was pulling a diva moment, and that really wasn't the case. It's just I want to talk about issues and focus on the topic, and I feel like this is the best bet for it. And as you can see, I've got my friend Greg's tweet highlighted here, not my actual love Greg, but one of my closest friends. And he was arguing, and I don't want to say arguing, he was responding to a bunch of meatheads who keep trying to deflect the anniversary of what happened yesterday. And unless you've been living under a rock or was just born within the last year or so, you know that yesterday was the anniversary of the terrorist attack on American soil. And I know some right wing revisionists want to try to respill it to being, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal or it was Antifa. No, these were deranged MAGAs who stormed our Capitol, spread it feces, grabbed items that they shouldn't have, were going after the ballot boxes to officially disrupt our democratic process. These people were terrorists. And there has been a ton of convictions. So we're going to talk about that tonight because Do Something Twitter seems to like to try to act like that's not going on. But to get back to the meat of this, January 6, 2021 should have been a regular day. A few days before the inauguration, we should have been having a peaceful transition. But that man baby, orange-faced turd burglar, or that fucking guy, as I like to refer to him, just could not accept the fact that he lost. And he lost resoundingly this time. There couldn't be any mix-up like in 2016. There couldn't be any little handling like before. So, wannabe dictator decided to rally up his troops. And he's on tape saying this stuff. Like, he literally taped himself because he thought he was like the next Mussolini in this shit. Riling them up in the war room with his freaking Stepford wife and his other Stepford wife daughter. They were all thinking that these idiots, these bumblefucks, would do the deed of securing his dictatorship. And they're just as incompetent as he is as a businessman. And it was through their ineptitude, the hard work of the Capitol Police, and I say that with the caveat that I am not big on law enforcement right now because people have shown the level of presence that these people doled out for BLM protests versus this actual violent insurrection. That's what my friend Greg was referring to when he answered these assholes who were trying to false equivalence this back. And I'm going to go to just the camera mode here because, honestly speaking, I don't want to look at those pinnacles of whiteness anymore. These are supposedly the master race. They were wearing pro-fucking Holocaust shirts to this thing. These are harmful, hateful people who only goal was to further a wannabe fascist state. And like I've said, and I know people get a kick out of it because they think I'm being funny, the only thing that have saved us is they're a bunch of incompetent idiots. And that this was like Keystone Cop state level fascism because Trump's an incompetent idiot. The one we should have been keeping our eye on, the tainted Sith Lord McConnell, he got what he wanted. Win, lose, or draw, he got the Supreme Court from that 4 years nightmare. We lost hundreds of thousands of lives unnecessarily, and we're still losing them because his cultish, death cult-like army, cattle dewormer, clown cult, as I'm going to start calling them, decided to storm our capital last year. And Joe Biden, he wasn't even president yet. He was president-elect when this shit went down. So to have people like Eli Mystical, who I used to have so much respect for him as a journalist, as somebody I follow on Twitter, somebody that I've interacted with. I don't want to form a parasocial relationship, so I'm not going to act like he was my best friend. He was just somebody whose work I respected until I started listening to him. And he's come across as the same type of pundit. You're never happy. And even when stuff is done that would be considered satisfying, you kick the goalpost down the yard to complain about something else. And his whole response to Joe Biden's speech yesterday, because the president gave a very good speech about why what happened last year was unacceptable, who was responsible, and I mean, he broke it down real. The whole, you can't storm a Capitol just because you didn't win something. Things that he said made sense. And he couldn't give that speech last year like Eli wanted to put out there. Oh, I wish this had been Biden last year. Our nation looked like it was falling apart. We had a wannabe dictator trying to destabilize our democratic progress. We had people who were already, sky is falling, sky is falling. We needed Biden's calm competence coming into this. He has plenty of time, a whole year to reflect, to give that more fiery, passionate speech yesterday. He earned that speech after spending a year cleaning up messes and still taking the media's bullshit. Yeah, I would be ready to fight too in a speech after the year that he's had cleaning up the last fucking guy's mess and getting no appreciation from it. But for guys like Eli to make it seem like this is the Biden we should have had last year was rough as it is. I don't know about any of the rest of y'all. I can't speak for the rest of y'all, but I lost a lot of people from this COVID thing. I'm far from the only person. I don't mean to center myself in this, and I hate talking about it because it feels like every day you log on to social media, you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 death messages before anything else. People are announcing the loss of spouses, the loss of friends, the loss of aunts and uncles, and it's overwhelming. And when you lose people that you know to something that should have been prevented, if we had competent leadership the last 2 years before this current administration, we would not have been in this boat, but we did not. We had the kind of person who told his death cult to inject bleach. So to act like this administration was coming into norm, had the right to just be fired up and angry instead of the calm that we needed after so much loss and devastation, is so disingenuous. Eli, you're disingenuous. I don't care anymore how this makes me sound. I don't know if it's more lucrative for you to doom peddle. I don't know if you really feel this way, but you need a reality check. Because the president is not a dictator, and you should know this, as you kindly like to remind people that you understand civics. The president can't just override state legislation. I know people want to believe that. Some of you really give off the vibes that you want us to be the GOP but more diverse. You want us to all fall in line under a dictator that can give you what you want. But who cares if people get hurt in the process? And that's not the democracy that we're fighting for. That's not the democracy that we voted for. We understand that it could be hard sharing the same space with these people who literally stormed our Capitol. But a lot of them are going to jail. And I know that Do Something Twitter thinks it's not fast enough and that Merrick Garland isn't giving enough speeches, even though Merrick Garland just gave a speech. He let you know, I am doing my job. I don't have time to be on Twitter. I don't have time to be giving interviews all the time. I am trying to do my work. But it's not enough. You got people like Joy Reid who uses her platform to be like, where's Merrick? You've got these pundits that do that shit. Merrick is doing his job. He is the AG, the head of the DOJ. I should not know about him, what he does daily. I'm going to tell you something. As politically invested as I've been since 1995, when I could start legally voting, I have never once in my life worried about our national AG. Even when Howdy Doody Sessions was the AG, and Barr, who I am still convinced really wanted that fascist ethos state and was helping plot to have that happen. And so he realized that these people are incompetent and I don't want to deal with this. His whole response, somebody pulled up his response to how do you feel about how the history books are going to view you. And Bill Barr's quote to that is, who cares? I'll be dead. These people don't care. They didn't care when they put migrant families in literal fucking camps, having babies laying on cold floors with nothing but a blanket, doing God knows what illegal procedures to women. There are still stories about how hysterectomies were performed on migrant women. You don't have rights to do that. And I'm pretty sure that Biden has his hands full going through all the human right violations from the separation of family incident from the Trump administration, on top of trying to recoup our economy losses and deal with the fucking pandemic. But some of you don't want to hear that. Some of you are really invested in the do something doom and gloomers. How do I know? Because they're very loud. They get booked on MSNBC and you think what they say is the God's honest truth because it's on the TV. It has to be true. It's not. And if somebody is doom and glooming and then pushing their book onto you, you need to ask yourself, how emotionally and actually invested in our politics being stable are these people? Because to me, it feels like it's more lucrative for them, for our democracy to be in danger. That is a scary, scary thing when you think about it. Why are these people so invested in the sky is falling? Why are these people so invested in the midterms failing? Why are these people constantly dinging a president who has a mountain of bullshit to climb over so that he can pull us over the hump that Trump just dropped with all of his nonsense? Instead of having a wake-up moment where they realize that all of this could have been avoided years ago if they had stopped playing these fucking manipulative games. Instead, no, they're still attacking this administration full bore because it's not going fast enough. Because these people aren't living their lives on Twitter and giving them a clown show. It is mind-boggling to me at this point how blatant the media is with their accusations of who did what and what did what, but things are getting done. Work is being done by competent adults. That's why you don't hear it. And if a person walks away from a job and isn't being fired like a roulette wheel of clowns like we had even last year with that last fucking guy, how dare you try to spin it as disarray? People change jobs all the fucking time. And it's a lot of pressure to be in a new administration that has to take on the burdens of an administration that was a hot-ass mess. I cannot imagine the amount of work this current administration has to take on, and we've all been there for the last 4 years. He had to inherit the pullout of the Syrian, the Afghan war, actually, which the media wants to crucify Biden for. But it was the last fucking guy that set the stage for that. And they will love to revisionist history in this and only blame Biden for the whole so-called botch pullout. He got as many people as humanly possible in a short amount of time out of Afghanistan. There was never going to be a non-messy withdrawal of our troops. And anybody who tries to push that BS is disingenuous, and they know it. And they probably have never enlisted. They probably would never fight. It's always these fucking pundits, these little trust fund, pencil neck pencil dick motherfuckers who, I swear, they know contrarianism sells. And they push that, oh, this is going to be Biden's swan song. How dare he, not, just extend the war. Extend the war. You don't have to do what Trump did. Trump already destabilized the area with his declaration. Our troops did not deserve to continue to be basically the only force there because their troops even abandoned the area. It was not our place to still be fighting that war. That war was going on since I think I was in my early 20s. Exactly. I wish there was a vaccination for that, Terry. Welcome to the chat. Because people sure are acting like little kids, aren't they, about this? And it kills me. What kills me about the whole attitude about how Biden should handle his job is it comes from people who could never handle the amount of pressure that it comes for true leadership. You have all this punditry and weigh in about what Biden should do. What would you do in that situation? You literally inherited a fucking dumpster fire. A country divided by not just haves and have-nots, because that's easy to deal with, but by literal ideology, people that are willing to die for that ideology, and the rest of us were just shell-shocked because we were ravaged by a fucking preventable pandemic. This was a shell of a country that Biden still loves so much that he just wanted to help heal and put us back together. And for that competence and calm and kindness, he has a media that does everything it can to undermine, to depress, to create apathy. And this is where I talk directly to you watching this. We cannot let that happen. What happened January 6th? People are like, oh, it's just a drop in the iceberg. I don't give a fuck about those people. They are dropping like flies, okay? I'm going to be real about this. I'm not worried about the MAGA crew. And maybe I should, but considering how many of them are literally dying in their houses because they refuse to even get tested for COVID, literally read an article this morning about that. Homeboy was loud and proud about, I will never get tested. I don't care. COVID can ravage me. It's just a cold. Dead. Like, I'm just going to let natural selection do its job like it's been doing with these people. They are not my top priority. The top priority are the people who are still here, who claim to have common sense. All of you blue wage emoji motherfuckers, all you vote blue no matter who. This is a call to you. Know who is running in your state and local elections. We need all hands on deck in every state because these motherfuckers are not getting any better. You got Mayari Green getting her ass banned from Twitter because she's a fucking radicalist idiot. You got Nunes actually retiring. That blew my mind. I was still gonna keep my Twitter break going on, y'all, because some of yous are fighting, and I'm gonna get to that tonight in the cast too about some of the stupid shit you're fighting over. But the fact that Nunes retired made me see it's a sign that I need to be back on social media, not just lurking and reading and stuff, but giving the opinion that the GOP doesn't know what to do with itself. It was so content to back this idiocy because it felt like it was the right thing to do. These people are old. You see some of the more mainstays of the GOP, besides the bleach blonde process look, a lot of them are fucking gargoyle age old. These people don't understand what's happening with the world. They want to hold on. That's why they talk about Make America Great Again. Their heyday were the 50s. These are not people who understand that the world is changing whether you understand it or not. And just because your ass can't keep up with it doesn't mean it's going to stop. So I'm not worried about those people anymore. This is for the people who swear that they care about our democracy. Y'all need to vote. No excuses anymore. We need a solid Senate majority so that things like our Build Back Better bill that keeps getting stalled, and I keep hearing people whine about Manchin and Cinema and the Squad. You know how they have power? Because we still have a lot of those GOP fuckers, the same cultists who let their constituents die Instead of telling them mask up, social distance, take the vaccine, they were trying to play both sides of the coin, downplay it. And now their constituents are dying. And there are still way too many of those motherfuckers with the R by their name that are in positions of power that they don't deserve. They have proven they do not even care about their own constituents. They should not be representatives, and we, the people, need to be the ones to make sure that they're voted the fuck out. But if you really want to make sure that these so-called scary terrorists, the ones who haven't been arrested already, the ones who are finding out that this isn't a luxury cruise, you're going to jail, and then you're going to prison because the charges are domestic terrorism related. If you're so worried about these people not having accountability, which I don't understand why that sentiment keeps getting thrown about. There are Proud Boys literally whining in jail right now about their dietary needs. They've been getting arrested since last year. The only serious thing, and I need to stress how stressed out this made me yesterday, was finding out that our VP-elect at the time, she wasn't sworn in yet, but Kamala Harris was at the DNC building when there was a pipe bomb dropped off. And there's a lot of rumors about who or what was behind it. They're trying to find the person. I don't deal with rumors. Find that motherfucker that put MVP's life in danger. I don't want to hear speculation. I don't want any of you armchair sleuths giving, whatever opinions you have on this. We need to find the pipe bomb planter and make sure that they go down for attempted murder. This is not a joke. This is scary stuff on the level of these people didn't care. That's why I'm not going to let any historical revisionists act like 1/6 wasn't a fucking plot to harm people. They had gallows. They were wearing pro-Holocaust shirts. Some people actually had fucking weapons from the reports that were coming in. And Ashley Babbitt, who died, was not a fucking hero. So stop trying to say her name with George Floyd. Let me tell you the thing that really, truly kills me about these wannabe, because they're trolls. You know they're trolls. That's why I don't argue with these people no more. Anytime I see them try to pop into my mentions, anytime they try to engage me, boop, block, because I know what they're trying to do. And some of you feed into that, let me get a rile from this person. I'm going to rile the libs. This is how I'll rile the libs. Getting Ashley Babbitt to trend with George Floyd is on purpose. Because in their adult Calder Wormer taking brain, and welcome to the chat, G. Feldman, she definitely did. They're equating somebody who literally stormed our Capitol to commit treason to a man who was just doing his own black business, who was murdered, legalized lynch by a cop. Because to them, they can make that false equivalence. I would never call George Floyd Ashley Babbitt. George Floyd wasn't trying to betray his country. According to them, the crime he did was supposedly pass a counterfeit 20, which we found out that wasn't true. So y'all can miss me. We're arguing with these people. We know it's disingenuous. And for the few weirdos that actually truly believe that, they're probably going to inject themselves with bleach anyway. I'm not worried about talking to those people. I'm not going to waste physical, mental energy to engage these people. They're not trying to engage us on a real level. They are trying to false equivalent because they want to deflect from the fact that they are domestic terrorists and that they support those who committed domestic terrorism. They supported people who literally, I get sick to my stomach. I felt bile rising up, remembering the happy streaming pictures of these people smearing feces on our Capitol. These people wrecking podiums. These people taking laptops that didn't belong to them. Wearing Camp Auschwitz shirts. I need you to hear me when I say it. Literal shirts that glorify one of the darkest moments in history, because to them it's a joke. This hateful spitefulness, this antiness, and this is what kills me about people, because we have them in New York. I'm a former New Yorker. I'm from Staten Island. That's why I laugh at the whole red state, blue state, that whole ideal, because they're going through it right now with Eric Adams, because y'all need to understand that even the 5 boroughs is still a blue collar. It's like Boston on steroids, basically. But we have a Jewish community in New York that is extremely conservative and extremely conservative leaning because they felt like Donald Trump somehow was going to help them with relations in the Middle East. Not understanding that this man is incompetent, not understanding that this man and his base are just as hateful of them, they thought that they could make a chaotic partnership anyway. And if last year, those horrible people with those awful shirts didn't wake them up, I don't want to speak to them either. Honestly speaking, I don't understand the mentality of getting into bed with somebody I know is venomous or viperous. I don't understand the idea that a little anti-Semitism or a little anti or black or misogynistic leanings is enough for me to put up with. But there are some people that really find that they can just shrug it off. It's one of the far left's thing. Oh, we can deal with their neo-Nazi attitude if they help us get Medicare for all. No. I understand as a pragmatist that by electing competent people, all those awful people will get benefits too. That's the reality of having competent leadership, that sometimes awful people benefit too. But there's a difference between doing that and actually working alongside these awful people, like the shit that they say that's detrimental to me, detrimental to every marginalized group that I actually stand for. No, I'm not okay with that. And yes, G. Feldman, thank you for typing that, because that's the truth. But there were a few sects of people that were acting like, oh no, he's good for us. He'll help us in the Middle East. He'll help us with the Israeli problem. And no, he won't. He did not care. The only goal Donald Trump had was to erase the money he owed to Deutsche Bank and to line his pockets. And I cannot believe people did not understand that about Donald J. Trump. Mr. I have a fucking gold toilet. Mr. My wife has none of her original parts. But he talked a good game. And in New York, if you're from New York or you know people from New York, you know that we sometimes love a good bullshitter. We sometimes love that person that could get you going with their cons. But he conned the entire nation, and it cost us dearly. And we cannot play around with that. And when you got pundits like Eli, Mr. Oh, I wish Biden had been like this last year, and other idiots, buy my book, people who are anti-vax, even though this pandemic is still ravaging us to the point where it closes schools again. And that's the biggest Twitter war lately about, I'm not equipped to do remote learning, or I can't do remote learning. This isn't fair. The schools don't have it together. Schools were already overburdened. And this segment is for the teachers, because y'all have put up with too much of these whiny ass bitch parents who think that it's your job to watch their crotch goblin. A teacher's job is not childcare. And I'm so glad that somebody said that in my Twitter feed too, because I was thinking it, but I couldn't put the words together, and she put it clearly. Because some of you act like teachers are your babysitters. You don't care about how your students are really doing. You try to say that it's their mental health. They are literally watching friends get COVID. They are hearing about their friends burying parents. People are dying from this. If anything, of course they're going to have mental health problems. They are going in school where classes might not even happen because teachers are out with this shit. Because people did not want to do their bare minimum and get their boosters. I tell people all the time, I am a little shut-in. I do my content online. I am a writer. I do not have to interact with people, and I still got my 2 shots. And heaven willing, I'm going to get my booster as soon as I possibly can, because it's better to be protected. But some of you are whining about things aren't magically fixed. We literally had over 600K deaths. We still have millions of people carrying COVID, whether they are asymptomatic or very symptomatic. We are up to Omicron in the names for the variants of this. That's how many variants are out there right now. And yes, it's going to affect schools. And I really want to be sympathetic, because one of the people that were getting into the back and forth is somebody I have a great respect for. They are not health-wise able to handle schooling for their kids. I get that point. But what I feel people are missing is schools are already low on resources. Teachers are not paid enough. And then you're asking them to go in. It was already a battleground for teachers. Active shooting drills. The risk of going in and literally losing your life is a reality. We just had that happen last month here in Michigan. Kids getting shot. Teachers getting shot. Just going to school, which should be normal, but nothing's normal here in the good old US of A, where owning a gun is more protected than any other fucking right. And you want to put an already overstressed, overburdened system pushed to its brink during a global pandemic. Because need I remind you that America is not the only ones going through this. But we should be smart enough to have a remote learning backup for our students. And people want to fight against that too. And like I said in my morning video yesterday, my kid's been remote learning. I took kiddo out of physical school when he got into junior high school, because even though I loved his elementary school, I felt that there were going to be problems in junior high and high school that I would be in jail for if I had to deal with it on a daily basis. I had to threaten a bully's mother's life in elementary school, and I was dead serious about that. If her kid had touched my kid again, I probably wouldn't have had these Bonnet Chronicles. You probably would have heard about my ass sitting in jail. I'm not joking. I am done with, because the only way to stop bullying is to take it to the source. And I chose violence that day. And I will always choose violence to protect my child. So, honestly speaking, after that experience, despite the great IEP team that my kid had in his elementary school, despite the fact that he did like brick and mortar school, when I knew we were moving back up north especially, and I did not know how the school system here was, my best bet was to put kiddo in virtual school. So we sat in my bedroom office, because I do a lot of my office work here at the desk, which I'm at right now. His computer is over to the side right here right now. He does his schoolwork for anywhere between 4 to 8 hours sometimes, depending on the load. And it has been a reality for us since, let's see, he started junior high school about 4 years ago, I think it was. This has been our reality for a while now. So it always amazes me that people don't understand that there are virtual schools out there, full-on schools that you can enroll your child in. We are in Connections Academy. We have been a part of Connections Academy since before its name change. And each state has documentation that you can follow through to get your kids in virtual learning or to start your own homeschool. And I know that probably gives people pause, because a lot of these people in America who homeschool their kids tend to try to go for that rural, kind of like, what's that popular show on Netflix with the wives or whatever. That's not the reflection of all homeschool families and virtual school families. They're the loudest, just like every other group. But they don't reflect those of us who years ago got tired of, like, when you get an active shooter warning text on your phone while your baby's at school, telling you that, oh, they're locking down the school, don't come up there. I had 2 of those in my child's lifetime. Too fucking many for me. One when we were in Georgia and he was in fucking kindergarten. And they were telling his parents, oh, no, don't come up there. The fuck with that? I want my child. And the second was when we were in Durham. And I was like, you know what? That is too many for me. Too many times that they're like, we have an active shooter in the area. We've got to lock the school down. My brain could not handle that anymore. And I don't know how any parent in America can deal with that. Like I said, just last month here in Michigan, we lost babies. To me, these children were babies. They didn't have a chance to be adults. They didn't have a chance to reach their potential. They are gone because of school shootings. I didn't want no more parts of that. So for those of you arguing back and forth on Twitter, whether or not it's fair for the kids to have remote learning, until COVID is in a containable form, which it is not, because people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're literally protesting, having to do their bare minimum. They are choking our hospitals with their stupidity. Until we get a handle on this, and it's been 2 years, so it doesn't feel like we're ever going to get a handle on it, even though we will. This isn't our first rodeo with a fucking globalized pandemic. It's just more digitalized. It's just more spoken about, because we have the ability to spread word about this more. It feels never ending, because every day, like I said, when we log on, it's another death message from somebody you know that's lost somebody that they love and know. I personally have lost family and friends to this. I'm sure many of you have as well. It feels unending because we are living through it. And I'm sure people who went through the influenza of 1914 to 1924 felt that way too. I'm sure all different types of errors who went through their global sickness felt this way. And if people actually study history, they realize that this shit happens. The problem being this time around is that we should have been smarter. Globally, we should have been smarter. But we have loud ass people with platforms and more money than fucking brains telling you, oh, don't trust this. This vaccine came out too fast. We literally have the technology to have a device that not only records, takes pictures, plays games, does telephone calls to anything in the world, but you think we can't craft a vaccination? I said it last Bonnet Chronicles. Back in the day when a lot of science and medicine was really experimental, because we didn't have the machines to be able to do this, so everything was a crapshoot, I could understand that hesitancy. I can understand the fear and the hesitation. But we literally have technology that is way smarter than us as a species, and use a questioning whether or not we can manufacture and craft vaccinations? And then I need people to understand what a vaccination is, because obviously that people don't understand it. Vaccinations do not prevent. And I need people to understand that, because I used to get this confused too. So I want you to understand that when I was a child and I got my measles and chickenpox and all those shots, I thought foolishly that it meant I didn't get those things. But no, you get them. Those things just don't kill you. I still got the measles. I still got chickenpox. I am still here. Unlike COVID, though, because I've had upper respiratory issues, because I have a blood disorder, I do not want to risk. I don't want to roll the dice on it. So I am doing everything I can, including locking myself away from people and getting my shots so that I don't risk getting any form or variant of this if I can help it. I have missed doctor's appointments because I don't want to sit in a room full of people who might decide, especially here in Michigan, because we got a lot of these loud yahoos here, especially in the farm area that I'm in, that don't want to do their bare minimum. They don't want to mask up. Their rights to be stupid has been keeping our hospitals full of sick people. They literally wanted to kidnap the governor because she dared to put their health first. This is the level of stupid we are up against, y'all. And then you have these celebrities who really feel like they're going to be all right no matter what, spouting that, oh, I don't know about these vaccines. I don't know. It came out too fast. I got to do my research. And their research is just being on Instagram with other anti-vaxxers talking about, I don't know, my boyfriend's cousin's balls got too big. This is the stupidity y'all are listening to instead of getting yourself safe. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I am a literal shut-in who spends my time crafting stories for games and other stuff, and even my ass said, get that booster in me so that I don't get sick and die from this. Because a vaccine is that. It helps booster your system just in case you do get sick. I wish we had a just COVID cure. And if I was a scientist right now, I would be so pissed that these people were like, you should just develop a COVID cure. Why? You wouldn't trust it anyway? If AstraZeneca or Johnson & Johnson or any of these drug companies came out today with a vaccine that would actually just cure COVID, I still guarantee you'd have motherfuckers putting the cattle dewormer in them instead still. Because y'all have been programmed by ignorance to accept your feels over fact and to believe something that is so asinine like, oh, Joe Rogan said if I take kombucha up my bug hole, look at him, he's fit, so he must be telling the truth. Y'all will take the word of a former stand-up comedian who does a podcast in his garage, who has the money to inject himself in whatever experimental things over scientists who have spent their years of their lives researching this. It is annoying shit for real. And I feel the people who feel like these times don't make sense. We should be a smarter group of people globally, and we're not. Our tech is getting smarter and more advanced. Pretty soon we will have AI that think on levels that we should be. And honestly speaking, as a sci-fi writer, I like to think that humans are our own forms of sentient data at times, but we're obsolete if we can't even do our bare minimum to stay alive. Like, reboot this system on a spiritual level if you're not going to do your bare minimum to stay alive and protect yourself. I really feel like, honestly speaking, we are like an operating system that should have gone 20, 30 years ago at this point. Because this level of willful ignorance is just unacceptable at this point. The fact of the matter is, the reason why we even have vaccines is because we had to study diseases. We've had years, centuries even, of people who have dedicated their lives to studying why our bodies break down, why we still have infectious transmittable diseases. We have a whole ass CDC whose whole main goal is to track and monitor and study infections. So it's not a far cry or a far leap to have vaccinations pop up. And the fact of the matter is, to have an administration that rolled it out for free, when you know the last fucking guy would have charged people. Would a lot more of us die, as only some got the vaccine if he had his way. Thank God the Biden administration came full on trying to do damage control. But it's never enough for people. Because you have these people that want their free socialist utopia. And this is how I am going to wrap up the cast, because I need to call these punk asses out so badly because they're loud. They are so loud. I don't amplify them anymore. I will not argue with them anymore. I don't retweet their stuff. They honestly feel like they could have this socialist utopia if they destroy the Democrats. They are, to me, as bad as the maggots because they want a dictatorship, but only they think theirs would be benign. Sure, people will die. Sure, marginalized people wouldn't get helped anymore at all. But I would get mine because I am one of the nouveau. I am the one of the elitists. I read, Tolstoy and so many others. I read Kromsky. I know all the Communist Manifesto from page to page. I am Senor Anime Avatar Comrade. I am a marginalized person, but I also understand the plight of the white man because I'm honestly just a white guy pretending to be a marginalized person who wants to push socialism because I think I could sit on my ass and collect free stuff. I honestly cannot understand this cosplay socialist movement or why they're so loud and wrong, but they don't vote. And I keep trying to remind people, as you argue with these kiddie table politics people, they turn out at about a 13 to 14% ratio. in any given election, including primaries for their messiah. I don't argue with these people anymore. They are not a strong voting bloc. They cannot be taken seriously. You know how ridiculous it is to argue with somebody who literally has a lolly avatar as their Twitter handle and a hammer and sickle emoji in their name? And it's trying to tell me that earning a living wage is the same as chattel slavery? I am not going to insult my intelligence arguing with these types anymore. If they were an actual strong voting bloc, yeah, maybe I might waste some time trying to convince them to not be selfish little dicks. I don't have to talk to them, and neither should you. Stop amplifying them, because they use that arguing and back and forth to say, oh, the K-Hive's attacking me. Look at Kamala Harris' supporters attacking me. Man, I don't know you. I can't tell you from any other anime avatar wannabe cosplay socialist. The only difference is sometimes you'll put a rainbow flag in your name, which boggles my mind. Because you say you're from a marginalized group, so you understand that a fascist state often targets the LGBT, but you want to put a hammer and sickle. Do you not see how Putin treats the LGBT? Come the fuck on with this. Y'all are trolling, and we can't be feeding these trolls anymore. Stop arguing with them. Block often and daily. They are not worth your time. And the energy that you put arguing with the cosplay socialists that are still crying Bernie would have won, even though he lost both primaries. I'm going to remind you again. Bernie lost both primaries in 2016 and in 2020. He lost. No one wanted him. So stop saying he would have won. He wasn't even close. He lost Iowa to Pete Buttigieg. I know that's a sore spot for y'all, but it's the reality. He didn't have a chance. I don't even think he did that well in his own home state. So stop it. So instead of arguing with these people, because that's all they want you to do. They want you tired and wasting your energy arguing with them because they're still shouting Medicare for all when it's like, bitch, I'm with Build Back Better. You could stay back in 2016 arguing about how Bernie would have won. I'm going to keep moving forward. So I need the rest of you who say you're moving forward with me and you want to protect democracy and you want to vote like black women, which vote like this black woman, and make sure you know who's representing you locally so that we can get actual progressive bills passed. Let's get less stunters like the squad and more doers and get actual legislation passed. Chantel Brown put out a tweet about how she's got this new legislative piece that's going to help veterans with health issues. And that is the kind of stuff I want to see people tweeting if they have to tweet. Lauren Underwood is constantly putting out bills. We need more of that, y'all. So elect more of that. Know who's running in your local elections, because there are 50 or is it 49? 50 or 49 GOP seats that need to be replaced in our Senate. And plenty of GOP seats that need to be replaced in our House, because I am tired of hearing about Bobbert. And I am definitely tired of hearing about Green. And obviously so is Twitter, because their ass got banned. We can do this. Despite the pundits, despite the so-called polls. The only thing that depresses voter turnout are people who just stay home. Organize around. We don't even have to let them know what we're doing. Get drives to the polls going. Get people knowing if they have mail-in or early ballot turnout in their state. We can do this. We have so much work to do in 22 because I want this administration supported. I don't want it just supported because I back the Dems. I'm not going to lie. I'm very, very on Team Democrat. I'm not going to act like I don't show bias towards Team Democrat because I like people who view me as a human. And I know the other side does not. But honestly speaking, I just want stability. And I know I'm not going to get it with the clown clan of cattle dewormer takers. And that is what the GOP needs to be known as now. I'm sorry, insane clown posse. No offense to you juggalos, but the biggest clown posse out there are the GOP. So I need those of you who are not GOP or GOP adjacent to hear me when I say we need to be effective in nullifying their power. And the only way to do that is to vote them out. Vote those motherfuckers out in such a record that their heads will spin. Ted Cruz knows his job is on the line. That's why he's sputtering now. Motherfucker left Texas high and dry last year during a storm that took lives. He was in Cancun. And then he wasn't even man enough to own up to the fact that, yeah, I bounced. No, it was my daughter's fault. That man should not be a representative in our Congress anymore. You know it. I know it. But Texas is a mess. And we need to give them support. We need to get them Beto as governor. And don't even get me started on Georgia. I lived in Georgia. I'm watching what Kemp's doing. I see what that motherfucker thinks he's doing. Because he's running scared. Stacey Abrams is coming for your job, Kemp. And I'm going to do everything I can. I might even reach out to family. That's how scary it is for me. I haven't talked to my family in almost 3 years. Well, 2 years. Because I got the death announcement about my aunts and uncles. I don't reach out to them on a regular basis because I don't need the drama. And I don't want to invite my mom, which is a chaos, anywhere back into my life. So them having direct access to me has been cut off. But I might have to nullify that because I am determined to make sure that they are doing what they need to do to make sure that Stacey Abrams becomes their governor. This is how serious it is. You know, I'm willing to risk toxic connections with people that I don't really want to talk to because it is all hands on deck. Exactly, Terry. Val Demings in Florida. Florida was another state that I lived in when I was in college age. Got out of high school in 95, went down to Florida, thought life was going to be all right. I learned that the political system in Florida is garbage. Long ass lines for black voters. Hanging chads. One of the first political elections that I got to vote in was the first one I watched get stolen from us. And I never forgot that. And even though there were times I was fucking tired, even though there were times where I did not want to be online for hours, I stood in line because I knew that these bastards would cheat us even if I didn't. So I wanted to make it sure that no matter what you try to do, I'm going to utilize my voice and vote. I am the Democrat that these types hate. I am the Democrat that they try to voter suppress. Because I am the Democrat that constantly shows up. And you need to be like this black woman. You say vote like a black woman. But there are black women literally on there talking about you're telling people that a shot. I don't even know the Greek quote. It was so stupid that my brain felt like it was going to hemorrhage. But apparently she's anti-vax and anti-voting to prevent fascism. Because this is the level of stupid that some of these black people who claim to be progressive, but they're really far left idiots, are spouting. I would vote to keep fascism from taking over our country. Why? Because my grandfather fought against fascism. Some of you are so far removed from even your close ancestors. Maybe you didn't listen to the war stories like I did. I sat there when my grandfather talked about being in the foxhole at 18 years old. Not sure if he was ever coming back home, but he was sent over to fight Hitler and the Nazis. And he would have done it again because it was the right thing to do. And the atrocities that he saw over there, that stuck with him, and it stuck with him enough for him to talk about it, and it stuck with me. My other grandfather who fought in the Korean War, all of these things that they saw as young men that shaped what they didn't want us going through. My dad, who I'm not close with my dad. I'm not going to pretend like I see him in the same light as my grandfather with the hero thing. But the Vietnam War was so much garbage. And why I get upset with people who think we should have just stayed in the Afghan war. Because there were actual people, not a lot, thank goodness, that actually thought we should have stayed in Vietnam and not taken the L. And the amount of atrocities there. I don't think anybody who went through Vietnam came back normal and whole at all. I think that's the reason why he acted out so much, is because that war was just brutal. And the whole point I'm making with this is we are always one dictatorship away from that becoming our reality. From waking up to a literal war zone where our cities are being bombed. You know, Americans like to look down their nose on places like Syria. Syria was a beautiful country before the Taliban took control, and there was constant fighting and shelling and mortaring from both sides. So many of us want to act like we are the white knight, cowboy captains, heroes. But honestly speaking, to a Syrian child, we were probably the devil. And that is the reality of war and people who play with human lives like they're nothing but pawns. And that is the kind of life that we would live under GOP rule. And I know that the people that believe in the GOP rule are not going to be the ones that I need to reach with this. Those of you who swear you're anti-fascist, but you just can't be bothered to stand up for women's rights, LGBT rights, Black Lives Mattering, actually. Don't fake that funk with me. You can't say that you're anti-fascism, but you won't stand up for everybody having a voice, everybody having equality, and everybody's rights being protected. Some of you really think you can fake your way through being a Democrat, and I'm over it. Because if your whole spiel, and there's a lot of you still doing this on social media, don't think I don't see you, is the Dems aren't doing enough. The Dems aren't doing stuff fast enough for me. It has been a year. After a fucking 4-year dumpster fire mess, we have gotten our economy stabilized. We have got jobs coming in. We have a vaccine, even though people aren't willingly taking it. This administration is doing its damnedest despite the anniversary of a fucking on-soil terrorist attack by a bunch of wannabe patriots who are actually just domestic terrorists. I don't envy Joe Biden. He took a lot of grief from even people who support him currently. I'm one of them. I did not have him as my top 3 pick because we had such a diverse lineup for the Dem primary. But now that he is president, now that my vote helps secure that, I am grateful for the calm. I am grateful to have an administration of first, an administration that sees every American, not just the ones that agrees with his policies and plans, as viable Americans that he wants to be the leader of. And I know that rubs people the wrong way because they really want Biden to just be a hateful, more benign version of the last fucking guy. And heads up, he's not. He has never been like that. He is not going to call the Republicans his enemy. He is their president too. He is not going to call people like the media, you know, you're enemies of the people. He doesn't want to do that because that's not fucking normal. And we normalized that for 4 years too long. Okay? Yous are in an adult's hands now. Yous have competence now. And some people really feel that it's more lucrative for us to be in chaos. I don't see what more chaos we need. We are literally still fighting a global pandemic. There are still wars going on. There is still a gun control issue in our own country. There's a news story every fucking day just from that. So can you please stop letting these pundits help to stabilize our democracy and organize and vote? It matters. We have seen what 4 years of GOP incompetence can bring us. I am not risking this shit again. You are not going to sit home if you claim to be a Democrat. It is not right. Don't do this to us. Don't fuck this country over with your apathy. I'm going to get ready to wrap this up, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Terry and G. Feldman, thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate y'all being in chat tonight. I just feel like a lot of people need to understand what's on the line. This is serious. That is why I'm so fed up with this foulness. We can do our parts to make things better. But I'm going to get ready to wrap things up. Make dinner for Axiom and I. I really love you both. You take care. I'll see you on Twitter maybe later on tonight after I get us fed and stuff. But I'm going to wrap it up. Bye.